So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert. If this is your first time tuning in, if you gain any value from this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So what we're going to talk about today is 4 books that help to kind of curve my mind, to change my mind about how I thought about time, how I thought about money, how I perceived money, how I perceived wealth, and just some ideas to hopefully better align myself with my goals in life. So I'm going to mention them. I'm going to give brief descriptions about each book, and I will leave them down below in the description for anyone who's interested in reading on them, looking at them. They'll be all down below. Now, I did put them on my phone, so I'm going to get my phone out. But the first one I had put down was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a very, very popular book, and it's a book that a lot of people actually have read, but it's not something that is taught in school. It's not a book that they force you to read in school. There's a lot of books that we have to read in high school. That's not one of them. So you kind of have to do this research on your own, especially after you get out of school. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is basically, there's this kid, which is Robert Kiyosaki at this time. He's a young boy. He has a father who is a teacher, and then he has a best friend whose father is like a business owner. And he noticed that they have 2 very different ways of thinking. And he also noticed that his friend's dad was in a better financial position. So then he started to gain some insight into the friend's dad's, which is Rich Dad. It's called Rich Dad. His rich dad, or his friend's dad's lifestyle. He started to gain some insight into that. And then he started to compare the 2 between his real dad and his rich dad, which is his friend's dad. He started to compare the 2 and see, what were the differences? Why is rich dad doing better than poor dad? So those are the questions that start to get asked throughout the book. And he starts to outline some of the thought processes, some of the thought differences between the 2, and why, thinking like rich dad actually proved to be the better method for him as well. Again, that's a short summary of the book, but it goes into a lot more detail, but you have to kind of read it for yourself. The next one I have on my list is, let me pull it up, Millionaire Next Door. So Millionaire Next Door is also a really good one. So Millionaire Next Door basically just talks about how the people you see driving these, luxury brand cars or buying these high expensive luxury things are probably not your average millionaires. They're probably not millionaires. They're people trying to look rich. And basically the real millionaires are actually very frugal. They don't like to show off their money. They probably live next door. And they aren't flashy with the cash. So basically, millionaires are not out there trying to show that they have money. They don't have to prove to anyone that they have money because they know they have money. Versus other people who are just flashy, buying all these fancy designer stuff. They're a little bit more flashy because they actually aren't millionaires. They're actually just everyday people trying to live above their means, basically. So that's what I got out of that book is, that don't judge a book by its cover, basically. Probably the person driving a Toyota Camry or a Toyota truck probably has more money than the person driving the BMW or the Mercedes or all of these brands that we associate with luxury, because chances are they're probably financed. Anyone who's buying those vehicles, now not all of them, but a lot of them are probably financed, versus maybe the Toyota buyer actually paid cash for it. You don't know, especially since it's a lesser cost for a vehicle. So that was just one of the key takeaways from that book, is that the actual millionaires are not out there the ones buying these high-end designer vehicles or these designer clothes, designer stuff. It's actually the people trying to look rich and that are not actually rich. So, that just made it more comfortable for me to stop trying to impress everybody. Who cares, right? Who cares? You're gonna go broke trying to look rich instead of actually getting rich, right? So that was just something that allowed me to, you know, who cares whatever the hell I drive, who cares whatever the hell I wear, as long as I have money in the bank, it doesn't really matter. So that was what I got out of that book. Now this wasn't in the book itself, but it kind of got me thinking this way, and that's, why do I want to put so much money into these material things? I'd rather have more money in the bank and have more freedom to do whatever I want. That's really rich to me, is because I have the freedom to move around and to do stuff, and I'm not stuck having to be at home because my house costs me too much and I can barely afford it, or my vehicles cost me too much and I can barely afford it. I'd rather have cash and have the freedom to move around and to do stuff and to have fun than to be just stuck, right? So that's what I kind of got out of that book as well. Now the next one I have on the list is The Power of One More. The Power of One More. So The Power of One More is basically what it says in the title. It's just about going the extra mile, putting in the extra effort, and just doing a little extra, but all the time. Do a little extra every single day, and over time it's going to compound, and it's going to become more than 1% every single day. It's going to become, you know, 100% by the end of the year. So when you compound these little extra things that you're doing every single day, by the end of the year, you've gained a huge result, because you're doing a little bit more every single day. Now I've incorporated the Power of One More into my life into many different ways. Even when it comes to working out, my sets, they always end in a 1 or 1 extra. If I was going to go in with the mentality of doing 10, I'll do 11 per set. If I'm going to do something business related, I do 1 extra. I've just been thinking about that, sometimes even a little more than just 1 extra, but that's how I've incorporated that into my life. It's just doing a little bit extra, because it's going to compound over time, and that's what you're really looking for. You're banking on that compounding effect of doing a little bit every single day, more than you would have. So that's what I got out of that book. Really good read as well. The last one that I have for you guys is The Psychology of Money. That one was a really good book. Really enjoyed that one. Now, that one is just about how we think about money, how we perceive money, and how you can kind of change the way you think about money to hopefully better your life, so where you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Now, a lot of us, the first thing we do when we get money is we go and spend it. We think about spending it, and not so much investing with it, which is understandable. I mean, who wants to invest the money? They rather spend it, right? But the psychology of money is basically what it is in the title. It opens your brain to other ways, other ideas of how to think about money. And it doesn't necessarily give you like dollar figures. It's not like a stat book, but it's like a psychology book. It analyzes how you think, how we think as people, and it gives you better ways to process those thoughts in our head, to hopefully we can make better decisions with our money, right? But it starts up here. It starts in your mind. And a good example of that is, you'll see a lot of lottery winners. They go broke shortly after, usually within a couple years of getting multiple millions of dollars. They'll go broke. Now that has to do mainly with the psychology of how they handle money, not the money itself, not the value of the money. It's their thought process and what they do with the money. That's why they end up broke. So, moral of the story, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it's how you've changed up here that affects everything else. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It matters what do you do with the money, how do you process the money, and what are your actions with that money. Are they bad actions or good actions? The money will add up on its own as long as you have good actions. So that's what that book's about. It's again about changing the psychology on how you think about money. Like I said, it's the best example I can give you is lottery winners. They've never dealt with big sums of money like that. They've never experienced big numbers like that. So they go broke very quickly because they don't know what to do with it, right? So some do, but very rarely do they. So again, if you gain any value from this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you guys later. Be careful, be good, take care, God bless. Bye-bye.